Hey, what is going on, all my fellow godlies and Warframe enthusiasts around the world? This is Vance from the Warframe God Build series, and I have to apologize for the huge hiatus I have taken away from Warframe. I get that a lot of people still don't understand why I wasn't uploading content for Warframe. Needless to say, I've got a lot of personal things going on in my real life, and it's emotionally taxing, plus financially taxing. I still don't have it sorted out, so thank you times a million to everyone who has supported my GoFundMe, and if I could just ask for your support for a bit longer in order for me to get my living situation situated, then I will continue to release Warframe content as much as I can. Obviously, I've got internet back again, so we're on the map. Like, I'm trying my hardest to put out content as much as I can for you guys and make it worth your while. So, without further ado, let's get into this Ivara God build, shall we? Main things to take away from this change from the initial God build setup to the ReForged is a couple of primary mods. Now, it goes without saying that when Prime mods come out, that I shouldn't have to release a ReForged video. It should just be a no-brainer. If you're rocking standard continuity, upgrade when you can to Prime continuity. I don't feel like I have to put out a video every time a new Prime mod comes out. It should just go without saying that you definitely want to go with the better mod. And that's what I would say about Umbra Intensify as well. As long as you can fit in an Umbra Intensify in place of a regular Intensify, do it. Like, if it requires the extra Forma, do it. Because I'm already up to 8 Forma on Ivara, and I feel like it was absolutely necessary because the changes that we have put forward are way better in terms of the initial God build. The initial God build was intended to be a very versatile Ivara, and in terms of versatility, this new setup has her way more effective. Big changes are the Arcane Awakening and the Arcane Avenger. If you need it explained to you, Arcane Awakening, the reason why I have that is because 40% chance for 100% damage to pistols for 16 seconds. That is going to be helpful for the kit gun that we're using, and also the secondary that I'm going to be showcasing as a bonus secondary build. Arcane Avenger is, I use it because it's got a 14% chance for 30% critical chance for 8 seconds. That's going to be helpful for really all the weapons in your build. But big changes that I've made here is possibly the most important mod to this setup is the Rolling Guard. I don't think that there's any Warframe on the market which uses Rolling Guard better than Ivara. Because the whole dynamic of Rolling Guard on Ivara is while you're in Prowl, which makes you cloaked, you can't use the bullet jump or the sprint function, otherwise it will uncloak you. So Rolling Guard is a way to dual benefit from your Prowl and the mod itself. So like being in Prowl motivates you to roll, because if you use bullet jump or sprint, you're not going to be in Prowl anymore. So you can indefinitely stay in invisibility cloaked just by rolling, and rolling is going to be your primary source of transportation. You're not going to be using your bullet jump, you're not going to be using sprint, so you're going to be rolling instead. And because you're rolling, you're going to benefit from the invulnerability that Rolling Guard gives you. And also, if you've got status effects that are put on you, the status procs, whatever they may be, they're going to get shut down as soon as you roll. And it's got a 7-second cooldown, but who cares? I mean, that's not what we're using for, but it's an added bonus. Like I said before, Umbra Intensify, Prime Flow, Prime Continuity, shouldn't have to explain that. You gotta upgrade to that stuff whenever you can. Only other thing that might concern you here is the variety of set mods that I'm using here. Hunter Adrenaline, no brainer, man. You gotta convert that 45% of the damage onto health to energy. That is a clear replacement of Rage, but it also comes with the set bonus of 50% companion damage on enemies affected by Slash. And with the primary weapon that we're using, it deals mostly in Slash, so that benefits you in 2 separate ways. In Augur Secrets and Gladiator Finesse, they do the exact same thing. So Augur Secrets, you're using ability Strength, which we already have Umber Intensify. We just want to get our strength up there to, you know, a modest amount. We don't have to go overboard with our strength. I mean, you probably would need to go overboard if you were using Ivara to Eidolon hunt, but that's not my cup of tea. So I'll save that for other YouTubers who do that. Now 40% energy spent on shields, not a big deal. You can overlook that, but I would still go with Augur's Secrets regardless. Gladiator Finesse, it's a replacement of Quick Thinking, so essentially it'll drain your energy to prevent health damage, and I'll explain a little bit more into that in just a second. But the 15% critical chance per combo multiplier helps all across the board in terms of the weapons that we're using. So you definitely want to replace Gladiator Finesse with Quick Thinking. You definitely want to update this build. Everything that you see here, if you are following the initial God build for Ivara, you definitely want to go ahead and follow the Reforged as well, because this is an all-around better build. Now, to close out the discussion of Ivara's build, I gotta cover Pain Threshold, because many people are gonna wonder, why are you using Pain Threshold? I mean, it's essentially a worthless mod, right? Stagger Recovery, who needs that? Now let me tell you why you need Stagger Recovery. You need Stagger Recovery because if there's any enemy who has the potential to one-shot you on the board, they're gonna go straight through this mod right here. They're not gonna care about your energy consumption. They're literally just gonna shoot you, zap your energy, or leave it there altogether and leave you in a staggered state. Because what happens with mods that make it so it drains your energy instead of hurting your health, when you reach the bottom of your energy pool, or someone has the potential to one-shot you, you'll stagger. And you'll continuously stagger as long as you're getting health damage inflicted upon you. And it's really annoying because oftentimes it renders you unable to move because you're just constantly getting procced by staggers. This mod right here is going to pair really nicely with Quick Thinking or Gladiator Finesse, because obviously it has the 160% stagger recovery. So literally you'll have a millisecond to get the hell out of harm's way and not get downed. Otherwise, if you don't use this, then you'll be stuck in an annoying stagger animation, and you'll most likely get downed. So moving on with the build, Raktaseranos, I don't think really anything's changed here. We've got your standard mod set up from the Hammer Shot, Vital Sense, Split Chamber. Hunter Munitions is obvious because we didn't have that available to us at the initial God build setup. I mean, that 30% chance to apply the Slash Pot upon critical hit, we've already got the Raktaseranos who deals primarily in critical, so you're going to be bleeding out your enemies. And obviously you're going to benefit from the companion damage. It's just an all-around good mod to use. Your Serration's present, Infected Clip, Point Strike, you've got your Viral combination. Really good mod, really good combination of elements here. The Viral, Slash, and Critical. Some of the most punishing elements in the game to deal with. And then on top of that, we have a Riven present that does Cold. It does critical damage, plus multi-shot, and then negative reload speed. But who cares, because Raktaseranos doesn't reload anyway. So if you're going to do anything here, especially if you have a Riven that's similar to mine, you might move the Riven down lower here, and then get your benefit from a corrosive damage instead of viral. But I'm using viral. I may switch to corrosive at a later date. That's really your choice to make. So I'm just presenting you with options. Now, in terms of secondary weapons, like I discussed before, the Kit Gun, man, I've got Haymaker, Tomb Finger, and Slap Needle put together in order to bring you the Hope Ender. And the way this thing behaves is like a Plasma Lex Prime with a little bit of travel time. And I'm not complete with this build yet. I will state that I intend to swap out my Pistol Pestilence and my Jolt with the actual elemental mods to substitute. So in terms of what mods I'm going to be replacing here, I'm going to replace Pistol Pestilence with Pathogen Rounds. With Jolt, I'm going to be replacing it with Convulsion. but that's after I get a little bit farther in my build. As you can see right now, I've got 2 Forma, so I'm not even done. My Gunslinger isn't even maxed out. I'm using Gunslinger because that's pretty much the only kryptonite of this gun. Is it has the fire rate's just really bad, and I mean the travel time is respectable, but it's eh. I mean, you're not gonna be using that to snipe anybody. So that's I mean, that combined with the fact that I've been off Warframe for so long is primarily the reason why I'm going to offer a different secondary to showcase you a build. Now, pretty standard setup here. It's aiming for critical and a little bit of status, but the biggest takeaway here, the reason why I'm including such an incomplete build is because this is already a part of God build expectations. It's already destroying everything I put in its way. And the arcane enhancement you want to put on this weapon to make it be even more efficient than what it already is the Pack Seeker. You can get this from the same person who builds the kit guns for you. And at rank 3, on a headshot kill, it has a 100% chance to launch 4 projectiles out that seek out the heads of nearby enemies. So effectively, you will be killing 5 people with 1 shot. Now, in terms of comparison, if you compare this kit gun to the Lex Prime, yes, you will suffer from travel time, which Lex Prime doesn't. But when you land a headshot, you have a good chance to kill 5 enemies as opposed to 1. So you tell me which has the better DPS. They're arguably the same because you can fire off more shots with Lex Prime, given the fact that its hit reg is instantaneous, whereas you have to deal with a bit of travel time here. So it's up to you. You could use Lex Prime, or you could use, you know, my Hope Ender combination. But I'm gonna offer you a secondary weapon, a secondary weapon, so that you can reference this and see which one you want to use instead. So with Ivara, the only other weapon that I might use, because since health may not be an issue anymore with this particular setup, especially if you're invulnerable all the time, I would go with Ivara Prime. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because you're going to capitalize on stealth bonuses while you're cloaked. So this is your standard setup, and I mean all the mods here that are present are it's the run-of-the-mill mod combination that you would use universally for pretty much every secondary out there. But since we're using it on Ivara, you may want to go ahead and swap out your Prime Quick Draw with a Suppress. That way, once you're in your Prowl mode, this gun isn't going to be loud. It's going to be silent, which means that you won't be pilled out of Prowl, because that's another thing that will pill you out of Prowl is the noise that you make. So use Suppress on Ivara Prime, and then focus on the headshots. Try to get as much headshots as you can. That way you can spawn, you know, the secondary benefit of Ivara Prime, because Ivara Prime is a very unique weapon. I think after you get 4 headshot, or after you've killed 4 enemies with a headshot, you'll spawn a secondary Ivara Prime, and effectively you'll be dual wielding Ivara Prime at that point. And since you're still in Prowl, you're just gonna be mowing down enemies. It's absurd. Like, it definitely gets my seal of approval. This is an amazing combination to use with Ivara. So take that into consideration if you're using Ivara Prime for anyone else. I'd swap out the Suppress for the Prime Quick Draw, but a reload speed just really isn't going to be a factor with Ivara. I really don't think that it's going to hurt you to use that. And if I'm going to say anything else on this, I'd tell you that it's probably better to use your secondary for long distance engagements, because your Rakta Ceranos, not only does it have travel time just like the kit gun does, but it also has an arc in which it falls, like literally the arrow falls. So if you're going to go the long distance, you're going to go the long haul in gameplay, then you may just want to start relying on your Ivara Prime, because The only reason you're using the Raktaseranos, other than the damage that it does, is that energy return. Raktaseranos, once it gains 2,000 affinity, it'll release an EMP blast, which will return energy to you, which is, I mean, primarily the reason why you want to stick with Raktaseranos. Other weapons you're going to use, especially the melee here, is the Redeemer. Now, the reason why I use Deemer and why I swear by it instead of the Sarpa is because with Ivara in general, she has the sleep arrows, which puts enemies to sleep, and then once you're in Prowl, you obviously capitalize from the stealth bonuses that we talked about earlier, and this thing has an incredible knack at killing things that are put to sleep. Rather you're finishing them off or you're using the charge shot and getting a headshot, this is definitely the way to go, and this is the type of setup that you want to use. Your Prime Fever Strike, Shocking Touch, Molten Impact, Prime Pressure Point, Prime Fury, Volcanic Edge, Vicious Frost, and Drifting Contact, paired with the Bullet Dance. You just can't go wrong with this. I've seen... I don't know, there's a lot of debate on whether or not Sarpa is better than Redeemer, but specifically for Ivara, I think that Redeemer performs a little bit better on the sleep enemies while you're in Prowl. Sarpa is... I've used it on Ivara, and I honestly did not see the same results. But if you're skeptical, especially since I haven't tested this for a really, really long time, that information could be outdated. So if you want to use Sarpa, just go with the exact same build, and then use your sleep arrows to sleep enemies, use Prowl so that you benefit from the stealth bonuses, and try your hand at killing things, because maybe Sarpa is just as good. Or if you just don't prefer Redeemer, whatever the reason, both of these gun blades are going to suit you really, really well for that situation. Now, Focus has been a recent addition to the arsenal, which is great. It was one of my recommendations, which lets me know that Digital Extremes listens when I make serious recommendations like that. Awesome. I'm going to use Zeniric because if ever I need to swap to my Piranha Prime in the long haul and I'm not using my Raktaseranos, at least I've got Zeniric to replenish my energy. Artemis Bow here, I built it primarily just to do damage. This is your standard damage setup. You've got your Serration, your Split Chamber, your Heavy Caliber, Point Strike, Vigilante Armaments, Vital Sense, High Voltage, and Malignant Force. Nothing really to discuss here. I mean, it is what it is. Exalted weapons, they're not meant for anything other than damage. So it's cut and dry what you're going to be using and why you're going to be using it. Now, because I put my enemies to sleep, I take advantage of Helios Prime, and he's going to be using the target receptor, which causes the Helios to attack targets within 10 meters and with 3 glaives, which is really, really cool. It's really the only Sentinel that uses glaives to attack. It also uses Investigator, where Helios scans enemies, and so that defeats the purpose of carrying around codex scanners with you. I mean, essentially, when they add new enemies to the game, you can use your Helios to kind of just explore the region and scan. Like, you'll just scan everything crazily. So that's the reason why I use Helios. On top of that, we've got Detect Vulnerability here. Really, really nice for enemies that have been fully scanned. You can expose weak points and then aim for those weak points while you're using the Raktaseranos or your Kit Gun or your Redeemer or the Piranha Prime. Sanctuary, Animal Instinct, definitely a no-brainer. All companions need to have this mod regardless. Metal Fiber, Calculated Redirection, Prime Regen, Enhanced Vitality, Meta Ray, heals you, and Sanctuary. It's all pretty standard stuff. I really wish that Prime Regen would regen your Sentinel indefinitely, like Jhin does. As a matter of fact, if I'm going to recommend anything, I think that Prime Regen should be changed to a respawn time which has a cooldown of like maybe a minute. and then Jin, his mod, be changed to where it's like within 10 seconds. Because, let's be honest here, Jin really isn't all that powerful. So if we keep having Jin respawn at a ridiculous, like, short cooldown, I don't think of that as unfair. Because Jin just doesn't do a lot. And we don't have any way to revive our sentinels. Our companions can be revived, but our sentinels can't be. We just have to rely on them being regened. And I don't think it's right that we only get we only lose our sentinels 4 times within a mission before they're gone indefinitely. And that sucks. That just honestly freaking sucks. Like, if you're going the long haul in a survival and you've got bombards or stupid teammates, whatever you got going for you, if your sentinel has been killed indefinitely but you rely on it for things like scanning with the Helios Prime, then it sucks that you would have to lose it indefinitely and then have to sacrifice yourself, like sacrifice one of your lives in order to get it to respawn. I just don't agree with that, and I feel as though this mod really needs change. But other than that, that summarizes perfectly why you want to update your Ivara. It goes without saying that if you are rocking the God build, you critically need to change your mods and maybe your weapons, because this is the new way to build. This is the new meta for Ivara. This is where it's at. So if you like this video and you dig what I'm dishing, you gotta show care and share. You gotta hit that like button. You gotta hit the bell icon once you subscribe. You gotta do everything I always encourage you to do. And until next time, this has been Vance, signing out. Peace.